could be, I need you to hold me.
Yep.
I'm feeling so lonely. I'm feeling like I'm carrying a weight and it's difficult. And will you just be here? You don't have to say anything. Just hold my hand. Let this space be a place that I'm not shouldering everything. Hi, I'm Mary, certified relationship coach, Christian sex educator, empty nester, and happy jet skiing wife who believes God's design for sex in marriage is too good to stay quiet about.
And I'm Katieann, senior pastor, wife, mom to four kiddos, and I always love having some fun, even when we're diving into the deep and holy conversations about marriage and sex.
So, welcome to the Sexual Wholeness Revival podcast. What couple ever wants to feel like a roommate instead of lovers? Hopefully nobody, unless you're so old that companionship is the sweet spot. But we are talking about today something that happens long before just wanting to be a companion. We are talking about that alive engagement that helps couples to feel close. They might know it when it happens, but they don't know how to make it happen consistently. So we are going to unpack something super practical, because if our ideas just stay in the idea realm, then we haven't made any changes and we haven't gotten to more freedom and more joy. So we are going to give you a full-on marriage communication relationship tool, and I am super excited about this one today. So, Katieann, how common is it for couples to just report the events of the day and think that they are staying in touch by sharing that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty common. I know in our marriage, me being a quality time person and a verbal processor, my husband
Mm-hmm.
walks in and I just go, my day started off with da da da, and then I did, and he loves hearing all about my day and
Mm.
everything that I did. However, it's really easy in the busyness of life, job, parenting, for it to just stay there. And even though you might know what is happening, you might have the information on their day, that
Mm.
information doesn't just automatically mean it leads to intimacy. And
Mm.
so even recently, having a conversation with my husband where I said, "Hey, I'm feeling a little disconnected." And he looks at me and says, "How so?" I said, "I feel like we're going through all the information, but then it ends there." And he
Mm.
said, "Yeah, we're both really tired." And immediately he jumped into action, and what it looked like for us is taking it a step further of, how are you feeling, like how are you
Wow.
doing, and then it was just having a quiet moment to, I mean, all we did was embrace, and we just had this moment to just be in embrace. And immediately, just
Mm.
even, science has shown what hugging, extended hugs
That's true.
does. There's a chemical reaction in your body, and just taking that moment of, I don't want to just hear about your day, I want to be in this moment with you. I want to understand where you're at. I want to understand how you're feeling, what you're struggling with. And it makes a huge difference, because it's closeness in relationship is not just an exchange of information.
Mm.
It is it is the exchange that leads to a deeper level of intimacy and
Yeah.
connection. And I think sometimes, and people get tired, people don't know how to take it beyond the information
Right.
and reporting of their day to the deeper heart places of, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And we did have a really important conversation after that, but
Mm.
we needed to take that moment to just really connect, not just information share.
So there's kind of a progression when couples are talking, and they might not even share the events of the day. They might be, as we said, roommates passing in the night, so to
Right.
speak, just a little grunt here or there and not communicating at all. Or they might take it a step deeper and at least share the events of the day so you feel like you know what's going on in your spouse's world,
Right.
but you're not deeper. And so what you're describing is going even further to figure out some of the feelings that your spouse is experiencing. And that's the shift from information to understanding,
Yeah.
which, whoo, that's when things keep progressing and getting to that place of intimacy is so much easier. And you could
Yeah.
tell, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure you can tell. And it's easy to get into information sharing when you have kids that you're trying to communicate schedules and what needs to get done, and this kid needs to be at this practice, this kid needs to be at this game, this they have
Yeah.
homework for this, or and so it becomes like we're surviving. And when we get busy and we're trying to just keep up with our life, oftentimes the first thing to suffer is our intimacy. And so even in that recent story where I said, hey, we shifted, there was a shift of priority. Like, we're going to prioritize this moment. Like, everything will be okay. Like, it'll be okay. We're going to have just this time to really connect more on our ourselves together than just information sharing. So it takes intentionality to do, especially when you're in that routine and the responsibilities just continue to pile up.
And I want to mention this, if you are the spouse, because this can be either husband or wife, if you are the one who is missing a deeper communication, you are not wrong for wanting something more, even if your spouse is rolling their eyes at you. What? We are talking. What do you mean? No, it's a good thing to press on to desire it and to create it. And I love how you described it, Katieann, that we're disconnected and I want to feel connected.
Yeah.
And that way it's maybe a clear way to describe this is what's going on. The disconnected part doesn't feel so good, and pretty much intimacy really won't happen if that's how we're living. But the connected part is like that fuel on the fire to make intimacy an easier place and more enjoyable place to get to.
Yeah. So it's right on. Yeah. Do you One of the things that my husband and I have found is that when he tells me something like, I was going into a meeting today, but before I went into this meeting I was thinking about you, and that's why I sent you that text. That is a meaningful moment in his day where I get told that he was thinking of me in the midst of all of his busy and craziness. But I don't know if people know how to look for the meaningful moments in their day, or, what would you say to encourage people to kind of be intentional and help direct some of these conversations?
Right. And that is going the deeper level than the information. So we can just have an event in mind. If there was a meeting, hey, I just myself got back from a meeting with my pastor at church. I am so excited because we were really able to dive into ways to help church leadership. So when I tell my husband about this, I'm not going to say, We walked upstairs. We were in his office. We both had notes. I'm not just going to replay the event. I'm going to say, I felt seen. I felt heard. I felt
Right.
validated. I felt like
Right.
someone else was running this journey with me. It was so encouraging. So that's a deep place in me. It's kind of vulnerable to get to that place to share. But my husband wasn't there, so he wouldn't know. And he won't be able to experience what I'm experiencing until I articulate it. So I have to dive in first to figure out what happened that was so significant and then be able to express it in a way that he can respond to. But from that place, it starts to build for sure.
Yeah, and I think too, I think some people actually love the little details too as well. I know for me, when my husband, tells me this thing happened at work, and I said, "Were you in your office? Were you in the conference room? Like, where were you sitting? What was their face like?" Like, I want to know all the details, but part of that
Mm-hmm.
is me kind of compensating to get more for him to
Mm.
share a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think sometimes details can be helpful, but ultimately, the goal is to share your heart, to share not
Yes.
just information, to share your heart. So, how does sharing your heart build more closeness?
We have invited our spouse into deeper connection. We have included the feelings. We have done work on ourselves to be aware of what was going on and extended that invitation, come join me in this place. So you've got oneness happening there. You've made a bridge. This is important to me. I want to share this with you so that you understand. Anything that brings more understanding is a bridge to more connection.
Yeah, and it's super helpful to sometimes have the tools. And I think that that's where people sometimes feel stuck. And
Mm.
what can they do about it? Because what are some practical tools? And I love this about what we talk about, because our goal is to help bring in practical tools that we've learned. And so,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, there is a practical tool out there. Will you tell us about it?
Wait, did you know? Most Christian couples never actually talk about sex in a healthy way. If this is the kind of conversation you've been missing, make sure you're subscribed to the Sexual Wholeness Revival. Follow this podcast so we can normalize conversations about sexuality according to God's design. Please subscribe today. We want to normalize this conversation for everyone.
Yes, yes. I'm so excited about this. It's come out of so many meetings with couples and helping them find their own bridge because they want to be closer and they want to be closer not just for sex but also for the fulfillment that comes when you have that closeness, when I have a sense of belonging. And
Right.
so I have created a 5-minute check-in, and I love giving it that clear title. 5 minutes means this is not 5 hours, people. This is something that's doable. It's not like, oh, we got to have the talk. And a check in gives it purpose, shows, okay, I am checking in with what's going on with you in a deep way. So there are steps with this. My introduction is telling people real connection isn't built on information, it's built on understanding. So stop reporting your day and start sharing your heart. That's how we are framing this. So the very first step is identify. And listen, I want you to follow along, but even better than that, this relationship tool will be available for you. So when you hear this podcast and you give a response 5-minute check-in, then we will send it to you. But eventually it's going to be for sale because I know it is such a gold mine. But for the audience, I want to make this available. So number one, identify. And this is where you're diving deep. What moment in my day really mattered. I don't know if you're driving home from work and you're kind of processing in yourself before you even get home, like, wow, was there something significant that happened today? Hey, it could have been really frustrating. It could have been great. It could have been so impactful, but we are going to isolate and pinpoint what that was. And maybe it's just the thing that you replayed over and over in your mind. And it was working on you, you know? So number one, you identify. Number two, evaluate. This is the work part right here. Evaluate. Can I know myself better by seeing what this stirred up in me? And would sharing this with my spouse help them to understand me more? Whew! We're learning about ourselves, and we are deciding what point we want to share to increase that understanding, to increase that connection. And if you've not done these types of communication steps before, it might feel awkward, but you will have a guide. Here we go. You can look at it on paper that will guide you through to remind you of what to do. And then number three, you're going to share. You're going to say, this happened. You're going to describe this moment or this event from your day. And I feel, now here's the tricky part. You have to put an emotion word in there, like anger, sadness, fear, joy, excitement, a feeling word. A lot of times people go, I feel like you. Never listen to me. And those aren't feeling words.
That's not.
I know it's an expression, but it helps to identify the emotion. Not that we just want to frame this in psychological terms, but what we are doing is bringing something to light. So you learn something about yourself as well as helping your spouse. And hey, if anger is something that stirred up a lot, you might be learning, hey, there's some other things that are lurking down there that we may need to address. But the follow-up here, this share part is three things. You're going to say what happened, what you feel, and then I need, and you're filling in the blank here. And these are not demands that you need your spouse to do something. No, this is, I need to feel closeness or honor or trust or support. You are really wanting your spouse to know what's going on. And if I use my example fresh from today, meeting with the pastor, and it was a great meeting, I need my spouse to join in the celebration and to be as happy as I am, or to really see, gosh, Mary, this made a big deal to you. I'm like, yes. That way he is understanding what is so important to me. Now, we have a step for the listener. So this is number 4. They are going to acknowledge, and the listener is going to say, thank you for sharing your inner world. What about that felt so significant to you? Or how can I be with you in that right now? And this is just more information, clarifying questions, baby. That is the way to go. Oh my goodness. Every relationship will benefit from more clarifying questions. And then number 5, this is so sweet. And Katieann, even in the example that you shared earlier, really tapped into this. Number 5 is to bond. I mean, here we go. Let the connection happen. It's like a science experiment. Woo! Chemicals firing right here. And you can say, I see you. I care about what matters to you. What I'm hearing you say is, being able to repeat that back. Also acknowledge, I'm really glad we connected. And then maybe even, can I pray for you before you wrap this up? We want them to know that you weren't just hearing their words. You were listening deeply to fully get that meaning, and not just the event, but what it did inside of them. This is the sweet spot right here. I love that you guys ended yours with a hug. I mean, there are so many things that help you to bond. Try a lot of different things. Find the things that are the most to you all, to know that, wow, this connection is happening. And then on the last part of the guide here, I just give you some tips. Listen before responding. That's a great billboard moment bumper sticker saying listen before responding. End with affirmation. Affirmation is about your spouse. It's not about this one time when it happened to me. Affirmation is you're recognizing
Yeah,
what's
right.
going on in them. Yes. And connection grows when your spouse doesn't just hear your day, but they understand your heart. For some people, talking about the heart is very uncomfortable.
Right.
Maybe they didn't grow up with a family that had open expression. Maybe you did try to open up and it felt like you got rejected. It felt
Right.
like it wasn't appreciated. So I know this is delicate and it is a process to learn this, but it will make a difference. When you follow these steps, you will feel emotionally connected and it creates safety. I
Right.
can say these things because you are going to listen to me and it's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And your relationship will totally benefit from that.
Yeah. And I also want to add in the bonding and all of this, like it's really helpful to know how your spouse receives love, their love language. So when my husband, and I'll give you an example, when my husband and I have a challenging conversation, I know that he is a physical touch person
Right.
and a non-sexual physical touch person is a physical touch person, right? And so when it gets challenging or we're wrestling through it, I know that putting my hand on his leg or holding his hand or
Yeah.
scratching his back is reducing or his anxiety in the conversation. And so that's part of what happens is when you begin to put these things in practice, it's just like learning a new skill. Like the more that you do it, the more you practice a 5-minute check-in, the more intuitive it becomes for you. And you do. And so we're at a place in our marriage that we automatically ask each other, what do you need? What can
Yes.
I do for you? What do you need? How can I help you? And it's just part of our vocabulary, but it wasn't always that way. We had to prioritize this. And if you are a busy family going 10 different directions for 6 people, it can feel like this gets put down on a lower priority. But
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a 2-hour long segment. It can be a 5-minute check-in that helps grow and build intimacy. And so using the 5-minute check-in, how can it better, I mean, I kind of talked about it, but I would love to hear from you, Mary, about how it will be better your emotional connection, which leads to intimacy. It helps with intimacy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. A practical way to set this up is to find the best setting for you and your spouse. So I always
Right.
encourage people to have a place where they're going to have fewer distractions. Whether it's kids running around, if you know you've got an appointment in only 15 minutes, maybe your bandwidth for processing is just not there. So think about distractions before you have one of these conversations. If it's the heat of the moment and you need to have it, then have a room where you can close a door and make sure that everything outside of that door is very safe for you. And being intentional with it so that you do give the person who is sharing, give them space, give them the room, give them the floor. Let them know that it is super, super important to you to
Right.
hear
It's
what
the
is
priority.
going on for them. Yes.
Yeah.
And some of those words are important. I encourage people to practice some of those phrases that are new. Even as you said, what do you need? How can I help you?
Yeah.
And knowing that this type of need, every once in a while, it's something practical. I need you to empty the dishwasher because I absolutely
Yep.
do not have time.
100%.
But it could also be, I need you to hold me.
Yep.
I'm feeling so lonely. I'm feeling like I'm carrying a weight and it's difficult. And will you just be here? You don't have to say anything. Just hold my hand. Let this space be a place that I'm not shouldering everything.
Yeah.
So the more you can identify that that's going on inside of you, the easier it will be for you to articulate it, and the more helpful you are to your spouse who wants to help but may not know what to do. We often say, of course, nobody is a mind reader. So this is the process. This
Right.
is the bridge that you can create. Figure out
good.
what is going on inside of me and how I can invite you into that place, which creates emotional connection and then can lead to any type of intimacy that's just going to be a blessing for you and your family.
Yes. So good. So good.
So I mentioned earlier, if you're tracking with this and you would like to have a copy of it, a paper copy right there in your hand, please just mention the 5-minute check-in. You can email us, mary@limitlessintimacy.com. You can find us on social media, and we want to get that into your hands, and I can't wait to hear how helpful it has been for you. I'll also put some more of these tips in the show notes so that you can have a quick access to it and get you through that next day to come out closer on the other side.
Awesome. Once again, such great material. Thank you so much. And until next time, let's bring back wholeness.